Welcome back to the American Superbike Show. I'm your host, Stitch Turner, and we are brought to you by Riding Times. You can go to ridingtimes.com and use the promo code SBK5 to get 5% off your order. This week, we don't really have any news or notes to go over or any mailbag questions, so we're just going to roll right into our preview of the MotoAmerica Speedfest at Monterey. Laguna Seca, it's an awesome track. It's 2.238 miles and 11 turns, and the corkscrew is probably one of the most iconic turns in all of motor racing. The track record is 1 minute 23.185 seconds. That's still held by Cameron Beaubier, and that was set back in the 2020 race weekend when he was still riding for Attack Yamaha. Eddie Lawson and Bubba Schobert are going to be our co-grand marshals for the weekend. A couple of Superbike champions there. Joining Superbike and Supersport in the lineup as far as classes go will be Talent Cup, the King of the Baggers, and the Super Hooligans class will all be running this weekend. The weather looks really good. Like, the highs are going to be in the high 60s. I think on Saturday it's supposed to get up to like 72 degrees. There's no rain in the forecast. There will be like overcast clouds throughout a lot of the day, and that's going to help keep the temperatures, from getting uncomfortable and get, that nice pleasant weather that they're going to have. But we'll have to see how that does affect the track temperatures and whether or not the riders are going to have any sort of difficulty getting the tires to work on the surface this weekend. All right, well, for first class up, we're going to go over Superbike. Loris Baz is going to continue to fill in for Cameron Beaubier. Each one of the two Superbike races this weekend is going to be 20 laps long. And last year, Josh Herron won race 1 before Bobby Fong came back the next day to win races 2 and 3. Because remember, last year, this was the one round where, every year, the final round at New Jersey is 3 races in the weekend, and then they usually have one other race. And last year, this was the race that had the 3 races over the weekend. I think this year it's Mid-Ohio. I keep forgetting. I have to go back and look again. Coming in to the weekend, Matthew Scolt has retaken the point lead after the Ridge with 145 points. Second place is Sean Dillon Kelly. He has 140 points. He's only 5 points behind. And third place is JD Beach. He's within reaching distance with 111 points. And then Bobby Fong's in fourth place with 106. Cameron Peterson's in fifth place, and Richie Escalante rounds out the top 6 in points with 65. At this point last year, when Bobby Fong came back on Sunday and won the 2 races that were that day, that began a 5-race winning streak for him. And that was what was able to propel him up to the championship lead. Just, out of curiosity, I looked at this point last year going into the weekend, he had 117 points, and this year he's at 106. So not quite the same start that he had last year, and that was mainly because he's a little bit more consistently on the podium in second place, whereas this year he has 1 win that's been backed up with a handful of third place finishes. But in that, my big point is he isn't really far off from where he was last year at this time. To be able, if he's able to do the same thing again and start winning races and getting that same sort of groove, we could have a repeat of last year where he's able to make his way up to the front of the field. I mean, championship standings. I mean, we know, he's capable of getting to the front of the field at any race, but we'll see if we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. One thing about this track is, so many riders love this track and they are capable of winning here. It's hard to make any sort of predictions of who will win before the weekend gets started. But one thing I am going to go out on a limb and say is I think that after the 2 races are said and done this weekend, I think Matthew Scolt is going to hang on to the championship lead as we move on to the next round at Mid-Ohio. Let's see here. This is round number 6 for Supersport. And welcome back to MotoAmerica, Stefano Mesa. He's going to be filling in for Torin Collins at Altus Motorsport. So glad to see him back. And just as another note of interest for the MP13 team running the MV Agusta motorcycles, Joe Limandri Jr. is going to be the one sole entry for them on the weekend, at least according to the entry list that I have. Each of the Supersport races over the weekend are going to be 19 laps long, and just like we had coming into the Ridge, we have 3 tiers in the Supersport standings, and it feels like the gap between those tiers is only continue to grow over the 2 races that we had at the Ridge. And in Tier 1, you got the championship points leader, Darren Bender. He's got 193 points, all out in front of the zone. Josh Herr was able to win both the races at the Ridge, and he's cut that lead down to 24 points now. He's got 169 points. And those 2 riders have accounted for all the wins in the Supersport class so far in this 2026 season. So that's Tier 1. In Tier 2, you got the next 2 riders, and it's in 3rd place in points. You got Tyler Scott. He has 136 points, so he's 57 points back from Darren Bender. So there's a good gap there behind to these next 2. And then just 10 points behind Tyler Scott in 4th place is Kayla Yakov. And at least one of these 2 riders have been on the podium for every single race this year. Oftentimes, it's both. And then we have another little bit of a gap until the next tier, and that next tier is just everyone else. And it is clearly led by Blake Davis. He's got 94 points. He's 100 back of the lead. And he's the only rider in this tier who's had a podium this year. But there's a 32-point gap between him and Kayla Yakov. So I think he's definitely more suited to be leading this 3rd tier rather than hanging on the back of Tier 2. And then just to round out the top 6 in points, you got Joshua Hayes, the ageless one. He has 79 points. He's 114 out of 1st place. See here, for Super Hooligans, this is going to be round number 4, and Jake Lewis will make a return after missing the last round, off gallivanting around in the Harley Davidson Bagger World Cup. Each one of the Super Hooligan races is going to be 8 laps long, and like every other class, this is a track that everyone says they love coming to, and they love running here. And since the weather's going to be on the cooler side, like it was at the Ridge, you definitely have to pay attention for, riders like Corey Alexander on the Arch and Josh Herron on the Light Fighter to be more of a threat at the front, because, the overheating issues that both of those bikes have had early in the season, these cooler temperatures could help to keep that in check. Gus Rodeo, he comes into the weekend still with the championship points lead, and he has 93 points. James Rispoli's in 2nd place. He has 88 points. It's just 5 points behind. In 3rd place is Andy DeBrino with 78. And then in 4th place is Bryce Cornbow. 5th is Robertino Pietri. And then in 6th place is still Jake Lewis even after missing the last round. And he'll be back this weekend in the Hooligans class. And you know what? He's also a big threat to win here. But you know what? I think it's time to see if Gus Rodeo can take another step in his development as a professional rider. And even if he doesn't go out there and get wins, is he able to keep the 2 former champions in Andy DeBrino and James Rispoli behind him? And is he going to be able to maintain the championship lead when we leave this weekend? Moving on, the Talent Cup, this is going to be the 5th round for them. Rossi Garcia returns after missing a couple of rounds, and he could shake things up at the front. Each one of the Talent Cup races are going to be 12 laps long, and this is the first time that they visited Laguna Seca. Nathan Gauker, he's been on a roll. He's won 4 races in a row now, and most of them have been close with Kenzie Matsudaira. But Gauker has won 5 races to Matsudaira's 3. Gauker has the points lead with 181. Kenzie Matsudaira is in 2nd place. He's got 167, so he's just 14 points back. And now we got a pretty decent sized gap going back to 3rd place in Jake Page. Jake Page is still capable of winning races throughout the end of the year, but he's probably not going to be able to close down the gap to that size to get up to the top 2 in points. In 4th place is Sam Drain. In 5th place is Derek Sanchez. And 6th is Reese Frankenfield with 68 points. And you know what? I'm going to pick Nathan Gauker to just keep on winning until someone else actually beats him. Mission King of the Baggers. It's going to be round number 4 for them. Hayden Gillum is going to win 2 more races and increase his point lead. And that's probably all the preview we need for that. He should have won both races last year for Vincent Hines, but his bike failed in the closing laps of both races while he was in the championship lead, or not championship lead, the race lead. If I remember correctly, in race 2, his bike died coming out of the corkscrew on the last lap with like a 2-second lead over Kyle Wyman. Jake Lewis and Cory West are both going to return for Saddlemen Race Development. They've been off doing the Harley Davidson Bagger World Cup thing. Each one of the bagger races is going to be 9 laps long, and they come into the weekend with Hayden Gillum with the points lead with 132. Second place is Troy Herfoss. He has 107, so he's only 25 points behind. He's been consistently there behind Hayden Gillum, but even though he's been right there in second place, he's still behind him in most races. Bradley Smith is in third place with 91 points. Fourth place is Kyle Wyman with 77. Fifth place is Tyler O'Hara with 64. And sixth place is Rocco Landers with 62 points. All right, well, we're going to move on into the how to watch. So all times are local, which means that it's going to be Pacific time again. So, if you're like me and you're in the Eastern time zone, go 3 hours ahead. MotoAmerica Live Plus is going to begin coverage at noon local on Friday, just like always with the preview show, followed by the 10-minute Raceline betting show at 1 o'clock. So if you're in the Eastern time zone, that will be 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock for those shows, so kickoff. After those kick-off MotoAmerica's Live Plus coverage, they will be followed by the qualifying 1 sessions for Super Hooligans, Supersport, and then Talent Cup in that order. After the Talent Cup qualifying 1 session will be a Superbike 50-minute practice session, and that will be followed by the final qualifying 1 of the day for Mission King of the Baggers. On Saturday, Live Plus will begin their coverage at 9:40 in the morning Pacific time with Superbike Free Practice 2, and that will be followed by King of the Baggers qualifying 2, and then the Challenge at 11:15 a.m. After the little $5,000 mission challenge for the baggers will be the Superbike final qualifying. And that's going to begin at 11:35, and it's scheduled to be 15 minutes long. And live coverage on MotoAmerica's Samsung TV Plus channel, which I think is number 1000, that will start to simulcast with the MotoAmerica Live Plus for the first race of the weekend when Supersport Race 1 takes place at 1:10 in the afternoon on Saturday. And I think now that MotoAmerica has their own official channel and it's gone live and everything, all the races will be shown on it live. If memory serves, only Daytona, that was the only race that had to have support races that were tape delayed and shown at different times. Talent Cup Race 1 is going to follow Supersport at 2:05 in the afternoon before Superbike TV broadcast starts at 3 o'clock, just like it does every race weekend. All Superbike races, of course, are also broadcast live on Vice TV as well. King of the Baggers is going to have the last race of the day on Saturday at 4:05 p.m. When we move on to Sunday, MotoAmerica Live Plus will begin their coverage with the Supersport warm-up at 9:20 in the morning, followed by Superbike and King of the Baggers. The first race is going to kick off the Samsung coverage at 12:35 in the afternoon with Super Hooligans Race 2, and that's going to be followed by Supersport and Talent Cup. And then Superbike will go green flag at 3:12 p.m. local, just as God intended. And the last race of the weekend is going to be the Mission King of the Baggers at 4:05 p.m. And so that's it. It's kind of a shortish episode. I do want to say here now at the end that I won't be doing my usual things this weekend on Reddit, having the daily threads for qualifying and the races. My grandfather did pass away a week ago, today actually, this morning. And this weekend, I'm going to be going down to Vero Beach to help my mom clean out his apartment. At this, he lived at this awesome facility, and it's where he and then my grandmother with him before that. It's where they were able to enjoy the last few years of their life. And so I'm going to be going down there and taking care of that and doing the family thing. I most certainly will be watching the races live this weekend, and that's one of the it's great benefit of having Live Plus is that I will be able to watch it on my phone in the evening time whenever I get the moment, and especially times like this when you're not able to catch stuff like catch it live. But so I will definitely be watching everything this weekend. I just won't be watching it live. But next week we'll be back and we'll go over what happened in all the classes taking part in this weekend's festivities. Till we get there, just take care of each other.